Hello and welcome to the newly named Spurs Kings TV, and it's your host Marlon. And also welcome to everybody on Scarfey Spurs Talks, who also is dual streaming. It has finished Everton 2, Tottenham 2 at Goodison Park. A lot to talk about, but let me bring out the guest. First of all, the next one's not even a guest because we're streaming on his channel. He's probably a fellow host. He was hosting yesterday and you all know who he is. But Harry, welcome. Are you well? Are you well first?
I'm very good, thank you. Not as well as I was. Yeah, not as well as I was before the kickoff, to be honest with you. But no, it's good to be here and looking forward to getting into it.
And a man that's, could talk probably for the whole of England. So I'm not looking forward to this tonight. But no, I love him when he comes on because he's always got a different opinion, but I always like him. But welcome back, Justin. Are you well?
I am very well, very well. So looking forward to this.
So we'll get into it. Let's get into it, right? So I'm gonna, as I always do with these shows, we'll always start with starting lineup, right? Because the reason why I always start with the starting lineup, because how you feel at the beginning of the game always tends to be different to how you feel at the end, right? And for me, I saw Vicario, Porro, Romero, Van der Ven, Udogie, Højbjerg, Bentancur, Johnson, Madison Werner, and Richarlison today. I'm not going to lie, I felt confident. Harry, when you saw that lineup, how were you feeling?
Yeah, confident because Johnson came on against Brentford and made a big difference, for example, and so did Højbjerg. So they're both in the starting 11, and on paper that team should be good enough to beat Everton. So I wasn't at Everton show at the time of the team being announced. I was going, I was hoping Sarr could start. It is what it is. Kulusevski misses out, but this team is still good enough to be able to beat Everton. So I was on there feeling confident. Obviously that didn't happen, so we will get into it. But that team was strong enough, in my opinion.
JJ, when you saw that lineup, were you feeling as confident as Harry and I were?
No, I wasn't. And the only reason I wasn't is because, as we're going to get into, Højbjerg, as we've seen throughout the entire season, finishes games better than he starts. And that seems to be the same with Skip. So to me, I sort of looked at it and I thought I didn't get that. I sort of looked at it, particularly from the Brentford game, where Skip started. And then we brought on Højbjerg, and it was a case of that he was able to help us see out the game. I almost feel with Højbjerg, he's the one who can just do that bit if it's needed, really. But for me personally, I don't really sort of when I saw that Skip was coming on to try and see out the game, I thought, no.
So are you like it should have been the other way round?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That actually makes perfect sense.
And to be fair, I'm also the same with Brennan Johnson because, again, I looked at what he did from the second half, and I just feel that with what we did with that sort of starting point and sort of going from there, I just feel that sort of, I don't know whether it is a case of Johnson is more confident coming off the bench. I'm not too sure. But the one that really stuck out for me was the Højbjerg one, because every time I've watched Højbjerg start a game, he's been rubbish. But every time I've seen Højbjerg finish a game, he's been excellent. He really has. And I just felt when you are looking for that, we've got to remember here, we're wanting experience. We're trying to see the game out. I don't really feel that confident in Skip. And as I said in the chat, I don't think he'll be there next season because I just don't feel that we're going to see enough of him for us to feel confident enough that in games like this, whether he be starting, whether he be finishing, that is what we should be settling for. I think we need to be taking that next step up. I mean, you look at it when the guys come back from, when Basuma comes back, is Skip going to be anywhere near it? No, he's not, and again, that is partly where you look at it. And as I said, I would have done it exactly as you said, the other way around. So that's why I was a little bit like, I know this is going to go. So I wasn't surprised.
So, first of all, I'm going to make up an apology right now, right? And once to the man to the right at the top, and once to the fellow host has, right? And the reason why I'm going to apologize, right? And they probably know why, is because I think after Luton, right, I was fuming. I was fuming after Luton, right, when we beat them 1-0, right? And I think it was all three of us were on the show, weren't we?
Yeah.
And I said, I'm done with Richarlison. Get him out. I'm completely. But apart from the two FA Cup games where I still think he was crap, right? I'm openly going to admit that he was absolutely awful.
Yeah.
League form this is what I want from him, right? And I'm going to shout out to Haz as well, right? I'm actually going to shout out to Haz because he's the one who said he needs to be in the middle, right? And I don't know what's happened. I don't know if it's because Ange just tweaked it a little bit. I don't think he has, but Richarlison is putting the ball in the back of the net. 4 minutes in, same combination, your doggy, Richarlison. And it seems to be, if Richarlison don't have to think about it, he'll score a goal, right? Harry, we go 1-0 up within 4 minutes. Your doggy then makes up for his mistakes on Wednesday. Again, great start. But how was you feeling after that point? Were you thinking we're going to go on and actually do this?
I'm going to be honest here, right? Great start, but I had problems with the TV and connecting to the router, so I had to do a factory reset. So I actually missed the start. Turned it on 1-0 up. I was fuming, obviously, I missed the first goal, but it took forever. So I was glad we're leading. So I didn't actually see it until later on. They showed it, I think 20 minutes later. But yeah, really nice from a doggy. Really creates that move. And yeah, Richarlison, good finish. But for me, it's a lot about what a doggy does. But all jokes aside about Richarlison, it's just great to see him playing with confidence, playing with a smile, and ultimately scoring goals.
Yeah.
We all have different opinions on players, but we want them to work. And Richarlison, it looks really good right now. And he scored, for me, 2 goals today that just wouldn't have been possible last season. Even you look at Watford and Everton, Richarlison, he didn't score goals like that. This is a player with real confidence, and I love it. It's great to see.
Well, this is the thing, and I'm just going to go back to Wednesday, right? Because on Wednesday, I thought he worked hard, right? His goal was a bit lucky. Don't get me wrong, it was a bit lucky, but he worked hard, and I thought he actually played well, right? And I was impressed that he got the goal and worked hard. Today, I don't think he worked as hard as he normally does, but his goals, that's what I want from him. If he's not doing it, he needs to be able to do what he's done today. And actually, that's why I hold my hands up and go, he has proved me wrong, right? And I'm glad he has. It's the first time all season somebody's actually proved me wrong. And it's taken Richarlison to February to do it, right? But JJ, Richarlison for you, right? And we'll talk about both his goals, right? Because the first goal was great. But that second goal, come on. Even I was a bit like, whoa, who's this? Is he earning his Brazilian passport back here?
I think you're absolutely right. I think I'm with you. I didn't think he was going to cut it and things like that. And to be fair, hats off. He has stepped up since Son has been away.
Yes.
And we are seeing the Richarlison that Tottenham paid the £60 million. What is it? I think it's 9 goals in 8 games, I believe, if I'm correct. I think that's where it is with it. So, that is probably one of his best returns ever in English football. And I think it really does show the development, the way he's playing, the fact that he's enjoying the football under Ange. And I think you see that with a lot of the players in terms of where they are progressing. And I think he is very much a shining example. And I think, potentially for Tottenham, if he can keep this up, he could save Tottenham a lot of money. I think, we were all sort of discussing about, do Tottenham go in for Dominic Solanke? Do they go in for Ivan Toney? Do they go for somebody like that? You almost sit there and you look at it and you think, well, it really will depend as to where Tottenham are come the summer in terms of, do they get in the Champions League? Do they get in the Europa League or the Conference League, from that aspect? And I think when we start to see more of that, we'll have a better understanding. But he is really stepping up. And I feel that is one of the biggest sort of positives that we have seen over the last sort of month or so, in the... We almost saw Harry...
He cut out there.
He can have a quiet game, and not work as hard, but he still scores 2 goals, and it's that part, and it's whether he can now build that on because he has got that opportunity now, and I think what it should do is it should give a wake up call to the wingers because ultimately Sonny's going to be coming back. Sonny ain't going up top. You know, I think it'd be mad to put Sonny on up top and Richarlison on the wing. I think it'll work better if you have Sonny on the left or Sonny on the right. I think, you know, to be fair, you know, Werner seems to be working better than any of the others at the moment. So I think it really does give a lot of opportunities in terms of that side. But credit where credit's due. We are seeing a better version of Richarlison, and long may it continue.
Harry, I didn't get to talk to you about the second goal. Again, you know, great work by Maddison. Hit the quick feet just to get her at his feet. But then when Richarlison takes it on, do you know what? It's really funny because I thought he was really close against Brentford when he took that shot out from outside the area in the first. I thought it was the first or second, I can't remember what half it was. And I thought, oh, I've not seen this Richarlison before, right? But then for him to go and actually put, it was the only place he's going to do it is at Goodison Park, the place he loved playing at, right? If we're being completely honest, and he just took the goal so well.
He did, and it's just great to see. Like as you said, though, let's be clear. Yeah, Maddison's footwork was class. It was, 1 yard pass, but he's just his body control and just how, you know, close ball control is exceptional. Perfect way to pass. But again, for me, the difference is last season Richarlison wouldn't shoot. It'd be a pass that probably didn't come off, whereas he's taken the shot. he's love it. He's taken these shots and goes in. Brentford, he was unlucky, you know, just over the top. But this one was perfect. I like as well the respect he has with the Everton fans as well. It's what I think you like to see as a neutral as well. But yeah, well hit goal. Really represents a player in top form and top confidence at the moment. And as Justin said, you know, kind of it puts pressure on the wingers when he's, you know, they come back like your Sonnies and that, because he has really set the standard, not something that even myself thought I would be saying. So hats off to him.
No. So in fact, you thought you would be saying, and you defended him from day dot. And I was going on your show, one of your shows, and you lot were completely. And for me, being Brazil's number 9 means nothing to me right now, because I always said Brazil hasn't had decent number 9 since 2002.
No, I get that.
Yeah. But it's a case of actually he's playing better than I've expected. Do you know this Richarlison right now? Even I have to admit, this is better than I thought he could be. So I'm really hoping I was a bit worried about when Justin said since Sonny's left, he's played really well. Is he going to go back into his shell when Sonny comes back? Is my only worry now. And that it could, you know, I hope not, but it's one of them things that could happen. But you know what? We've spoke about all the good stuff, right? And we've started on a positive.
And there's not a lot of it either.
No. And you can tell by the chat, they're all going through it, and everyone in the chat, we're now going to talk about, let's first talk about our set pieces. It's the title of the show, right? That first goal, right, which was really weird, right, because Everton seemed to be just on Vicario, right? They just put the ball on top of him, and they were making him, you know, literally flap at it most of the time, right? They saw what Everton did, Manchester City did, and they thought, all right, we'll do some of the same. And he was. And then they stopped doing it, which was really weird, but they were still getting a lot of decent effect from corners. But my question is, who's at fault for this, right? And this is why I'm going to give you 3 scenarios, right? Is it Vicario's? Is it Romero's? Or is it Ange's? Right? And the reason why I'm giving those 3 scenarios, right? All I've heard is Vicario should be much stronger. That's one I've heard. The second one, Romero and his defenders should be more organised to help the goalkeeper out. Or is it Ange's fault because he sets up that way? Harry.
Can we obviously all 3? I'm going to go with all 3. Firstly, honestly, Mol, I think it's a mix of all 3. Firstly, Vicario, for me, the main one, he's got to be stronger. You can look at the City one, you can look at that, and I don't necessarily want to argue whether it's a foul or not, because there's contact on both of them. Whether it's not, you know, enough or not, I'll leave that up to the individual. But he's still got to do stronger. Manchester City's already decided he's going with a punch before there's any contact. He's already put himself in trouble with this as well. But also it's on Romero and his backline for not controlling and protecting the keeper. I think we saw a little bit more of that in the second half. But for me, you just take control of that situation. You stop any Everton player being around. And of course, Ange as well for not seeing that against City and making it clear. We might have, unless the players didn't listen. But for me, he has to make it very, very clear and offer that goalkeeper that protection. So all three are at fault, but the main one comes back to Vicario, who's got asked for that protection himself.
JJ, where are you sitting with it?
I to be fair, 100% agree with Harry on that. I think, one of the things, and nothing to do with Tottenham here, but if anyone remembers the game between Burnley and Luton, when Luton scored late on, I remember it clear as anything, because he pretty much backed himself into the keeper, and everyone thought, well, that's a foul. That's a foul. It doesn't matter. It ain't going to be given. And it wasn't. And at that point, I looked at it and I thought, right, we need to be stronger now, because everybody is now going to look at it and have looked at it and gone, goalkeepers aren't going to be protected as much anymore. It isn't a case of that you can fart near them and they'll fall over and you'll get a free kick. It is a case of you can do this. And I'm sorry, but I said I agree totally. I think all three of them are at fault. I think Vicario needs to understand that this is now going to become common practice. I think we're going to see it more and more, not just against the teams like Everton, who we knew were going to do this, because that's how they play. They play dirty football. Nothing against them. It's worked, particularly for Sean Dyche. But ultimately, we weren't going to get free-flowing football, perhaps like we'll get with Brighton. But I do believe Brighton will, as you'll see, I bet you anything, on Saturday, they will loop the ball in and they'll loop it towards the goalkeeper, and they'll tell their attackers, put the pressure on the goalkeeper, don't let him out, let him sort of have to squirm, and I reckon we're going to get a shot at it. And I think the defenders need to be better at that as well. All right. But I do think also Ange, because you've got to see that. You've got to see that is what is going on. And particularly as that has now happened, I think this is the third game this has happened. Man City, Brentford, and now Everton. All three have targeted the goalkeeper, and all three have got goals off the back of it. So that is something that either Ange needs to address, the defence needs to address, Vicario needs to address. Otherwise, I guarantee there'll be more goals because of it.
So I'm going to say this to you guys, right? So I'm going to be part of the goalkeepers union here, right? And the last person I'm going to blame for this is Vicario, right? And I'm going to explain why. Yeah. Romero and the defenders have seen this, like you said, for how many games, right? And yet not one of them has thought, let's protect our goalkeeper, right? That's one, right? They should be protected. As when you're taught as defenders, right? If your goalkeeper is not good, he's not, and this is the other thing. If you've done your scouting on Vicario in the summer, yeah, as most people did, and Ash, yeah, my boy Ash, right, highlighted this, right? And this was my worry when Vicario came. He's not good at coming for crosses and corners. He was not good at it before, and he ain't good at it now, right? And it seemed like at the beginning of the season, we covered for him on it. And all of a sudden, they've stopped doing it, right? So the defenders, right, need to know that this is going to happen, but none of them are protecting him. None of them, right? And I'm going to explain why in a minute, because the free kick plays a very important part into why I say this, right? Then Ange, you've bought a goalkeeper, yeah, that from time, right? We've seen it 3 games now, like you lot just said, and you've not thought once to go tactically, yeah? You've not thought once to tactically tell your defenders if they're not doing it, come on, we need to defend this better. We need to.
Marlon, I agree with you, but surely it's on the goalkeeper who's not good at that, and he needs to improve that. No,
but he can't improve on. This is what I'm saying. He's not going to improve on that side of his game, right? It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
You don't think a player can improve?
Not in that position, because he's 27.
Well, catch him. No, but you can get a 4-year-old to catch. You're going to do for any catching them. Eventually, over time, they're improved.
No, but it's not, because you have to see what the other team are doing. They're backing into him.
I can study the opposition then.
Yeah, but this is the problem. We've bought a goalkeeper. This is his weakness, right? De Gea. Right?
Weaknesses are there to be worked on, no?
Yeah.
That's what managers for. It's a coach's job.
But if he's not getting any better at it, you then have to go, you
Correct.
know what, right? He's not getting better at it. We then now need to protect him when he does. I
agree with that, but you can't just say Vicario is innocent. You know,
but he is for me. He is, because he's not innocent. Don't get me wrong; he's not completely innocent, but he's not to be completely blamed, because if that's 3 games in a row that the goalkeeper that's happened now in, right, that teams are doing it, you've got to sit there and go, oh, hold on, what are my defense doing? What is my
Marlon, let's just be clear. So if, I don't know, let's say I'm playing football, I'm in goal, I get the ball and throw it in my own net, I'm not responsible because I'm not good at catching. That's a defender's fault because I dropped it and threw it in my own net.
Depends.
Just to
Depends.
clarify.
No, because that's not what's not happening, is it? If the fact is that
Well, if I literally throw it in the net, that's the defender's
he's not throwing it in the net.
That's not catch.
He's not throwing it in the net. What's happening is you're getting two
You
players.
know what I mean? You can twist it.
But, yes, but you can twist it. If he's throwing it in the net, completely different. But he's not doing that. What's happening is that they're lining up they're lining up on him, right? But none of the defenders are helping him out. They're literally going. They're literally going. No, we've been told to whatever mark, zonal mark. I don't know what they're doing, right? So then they're not picking up. So you're kind of like, okay. But for me, the reason why I'm saying that now, let's take this. Let's go for the second goal, the set pieces, yeah, the free kicks that keep going in. This is constant now. This has been all season, right? So I'm going to ask you about the free kicks now. Why is it we're getting caught out on these deep free kicks coming into the box against so many teams this season? What is happening?
Well, I don't think that's just. To be fair, I don't think that's just based on the defenders. I think that's a collective as a whole, the set up, and it's being almost in effect what we are finding.
So you've hit the nail on the head there. Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head there.
But that isn't just. That is everybody collectively in there. That is a case of basically making it that you dominate, and particularly. And I get what you're saying with regards to defenders. I get what you're saying in relation to that.
You have never played in goal, and that's why.
Right.
Where me and Clarky have, so we completely understand what's going on.
Okay, so basically what we're saying is that you 10 players on pitch are at full, all right? Marvellous. That's absolutely
JJ,
right.
carry on with the free kick. Carry
on. No. You carry on, Mourinho. You blame everybody else by yourself. It's absolutely fine. But everybody there, doesn't matter about the goalkeeper, doesn't matter the defenders, whoever is in that box, all of them need to be stronger. And you look at particularly the players that came on, the players that were having to do those sort of jobs, they were not strong enough. It's as simple as that. They know the goalkeeper's not good enough in the air. Yep. They need to be stronger as well. So that is not just one set area. It is a collective, and they all need to take responsibility. And as you've also said, that does need to come from the manager as well. But going back to what you were saying about Vicario, I'm sorry, you're talking out your backside. No, you really are. That is something you can train anybody to be better at things. You can
anybody.
Hang on a sec. Can he be stronger up here? He
Bartes used to do it, but he won the World Cup. Hugo Lloris was weak at stuff, right, and used to get exploited, right? This is what I'm saying. It's like for me, it's like the doggy.
It's like the doggy. You're comparing Vicario's situation with Lloris, bearing in mind in his team when he won the World Cup, he had Kylian Mbappe in it.
Yeah, but who in the semi-final? Who got man of the match?
Well, he didn't win it. If you're talking about the most recent one,
that's because he shot one player. That's because he shot one player.
But this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. Like Hugo Lloris was deteriorating at us, but for some reason, we always said, why in the French squad is he different? Right?
Because players.
No, exactly. Because exactly. Listen to that example. He had a better defense because they used to protect him against his weaknesses. It was and this is what we're saying. You have to protect if you've got weaknesses in your team, it's like your doggy at the moment, right? His biggest weakness at home is that he's lackadaisical and his concentration, right? And Porro as well. So you don't sit there and go, "Oh, I'm going to keep exploiting Porro." We said the other night, you can blatantly tell and just change something so Porro's less exploited at right back. Man United tried to exploit it, right? And it worked. It did kind of work, but they made a tweak to make sure he wasn't getting caught out of position as much. Because your dog is quicker, he's getting caught out a lot more. So it'd be quite interesting to see how he does with that in the next few weeks.
Well, I get what you're saying, and that's fine. But I think one thing we do need to understand is that these players, in effect, have played less than 20 games together. Let's be honest. This collective back five have played less than 20 games together in terms of the injuries and things like that.
That's not an excuse because there's other. There's
they
other
need to understand. They need to work together. You're telling around.
You need understanding.
Let's take Arsenal last season, right? Saliba, Gabriel, Zinchenko, and Ben White have played 20 less games together.
Should we include the goalkeeper in it? Because they've now replaced the goalkeeper, Marlon, because he wasn't good enough. So your point's not valid.
But Ramsdale, okay, all five of them last season right, played less than 20 games together. They weren't conceding goals like this, though.
Well, as far as I know, there's more than 20 games in the season.
No, but what I'm saying is you can't use because they've played 20 games together as an excuse for them conceding all these goals. You can't.
To be fair, they did bottle the title.
Yeah,
if we're going by that basis.
Yeah, but no, but you're saying, but you're saying, but what you're saying is they've only played 20 games together, not an excuse. It shouldn't be an excuse.
That's not an excuse for Vicario, then.
No, it's not. What's not an excuse? I'm not using it as an excuse.
This is something
played 20 games
and evolving, and I think what we will see over time is if all of them get their act together, this should be something that they need to address, particularly with the fact of if you take Brighton, who whether they won't play the same way as Everton, we know that, but when it comes to set pieces, will damn sure make it very clear that Ferguson, Lewis Dunk will make themselves known in those set pieces, and that will cause us a problem.
Harry, you're next. Have you spoken? I don't even know because we're too busy. It's your turn. Set pieces, second goal. That's where we're at. Why are we still conceding these free kicks from set pieces and not defending them properly?
Well, listen, let's just be clear. It's been a problem for a few years now under multiple different managers where we've had so many free kicks and we seem to concede. So I can't really put my finger on what it is. For me, it's not. I don't really know because it's different players. You can't blame it on the players. But
to be fair, I don't think that's necessarily true because I don't think last year from set pieces we were one of the best defending corners and free kicks, and we were good taking them because that's what Conte worked on. Right, no matter if you like him or not, that's what he did. Mourinho, I'm going to be totally honest.
Poor defensively.
We were very poor defensively, and that was because Vertonghen and Alderweireld were on their way out, and we just literally hadn't replaced them. So, but Pochettino, I think you're right. I think you're right on that sense. We probably were conceding, but not as many. But it seems to be under Ange, it's a regular occurrence.
Yeah, well, listen, there is a very simple answer to that. We play with a high line, right? And that includes from set pieces, and that makes it ultimately harder for yourself to maybe track runners, and it's harder because you've got to make sure that line is a lot easier when you're defending deep because you just got to win the first header. So when you're playing a high line, there's that pressure to know if you don't get it, then if someone's timed their run, then they've got a good chance. So you put yourself at risk again. That comes back to Ange. I respect that, but your point about Vicario, right? To give you an example in a real life, right? I'm a sports leader, right? And I teach like PE lessons, for example. And let's say I do catching and someone's not very good at catching. I work with that person more catching. And by the end of the year, they'll be one of the best in the group at catching. So you're telling me that a professional goalkeeper who's paid an extreme amount.
We're not talking about catching here.
Well, you're right in terms of defence, Marlon, but we can't say, okay, Vicario, you've been weak here. It's not on you because look at City, for example. He decides to punch. If you look very carefully, his body language and the way he goes to punch, he's already decided. So things like that make me go.
No. Against Manchester City, even that for me was all on him. There was no one else. He has to take full blame. But where I'm starting to get a bit irate with the manager now, right, with it, is all the defenders, it's either one or two, is
both.
If you keep allowing this to happen, if I keep punching you in the head and you don't put up your arms to block me, right, and you're just going to allow me to punch you in your head.
That comes back to the goalkeeper, though. You need to put your arms up. It's in the goalkeeper. Okay. You can't have it both ways.
No, but I can because Vicario, but he's good at you have to be fair.
Let's be clear, he's been a fantastic signing, and his weakness has been identified. It's going to be a problem,
and that's the problem. His weakness has been identified, which has been not a weakness at Spurs and in the Premier League. It's been longer. It has been longer because, like I said, me and Ash knew this and discussed this. And
I can't comment because I didn't know who Vicario was till we signed him. So
admittedly, nor did most of us. But what we did is you kind of go out and see all the reels and see. But what me and Ash like to do,
YouTube shorts where they put 60 seconds of their best highlights together.
But what me and Ash like to do, and this is
dive deeper.
We dive deeper because I like to see their weaknesses and not their strengths. Because that's everyone could sign anybody off their strengths. It's not the point. You go and check their weaknesses. Like we knew Brendan Johnson's weaknesses as well, and that's the bit we're getting into. But right, so the next big thing, right? Let's talk about the next big thing is Ange and the substitutions. We have to start talking about it now because these are becoming a regular occurrence where he's making subs and it's killing us. right? I don't know if you lot agree. I've been saying for a while is his subs have been killing us.
It is, but I think we've got to. The one thing I will say with that, okay, yes, the substitutions are, but let's look at, if you take that bench all together and you look at what he's got, there's nothing, you're looking at substitutions and yeah, okay, maybe it is a bit of game management, but you're looking at who he's bringing on and okay, it's tough to say a Papsar because obviously he had only just come back from AFCON. Dragusin is obviously having to play a slightly different role because of obviously the work that Van der Ven and Romero have done. Kulusevski, again, that was more like for like. But to me, there's no way, if you're serious about wanting to, take this club forward, that you bring on the likes of Oliver Skipp and Brian Hill, because to me, I've seen them enough that I just don't feel for the level that Tottenham, for this level now where Tottenham are, yeah, okay, they're fine. But if Tottenham are serious, and as I said, I've been having this conversation with Haas on the group chat, if Tottenham are serious and want to take it to the next level, people like him need to go. People like Brian Hill need to go. Oliver Skipp needs to go. Dane Scarlett perhaps maybe needs to go on loan because clearly I don't think he's going to get those minutes. I almost look at it and wonder what's the point of bringing back from Ipswich.
Do you know what? To be honest, with Dane Scarlett, I was going to agree with you, right? In the sense of I think he went to Ipswich, and I kind of feel now, I think he might in the next couple of months. I don't know, but then hold on, we'll get into that next because Ange said something at the weekend before the game that was quite damning, right? But yeah, carry on. Go on. Sorry, I shouldn't. No. I shouldn't have cut it.
Yeah. So to be honest, when you look at those substitutions in particular, as I said, I thought it should have been the other way around with Skipp and Højbjerg. So it should have been Højbjerg that's coming on for Skipp.
Yeah.
You shouldn't. In terms of it, obviously he brought on Skipp for Werner, which I thought, well, that's inviting pressure on. To me personally, I always think that what you should be doing is keeping your shape. If you're in control of the game,
was it a very Conte substitution? Is it what you're telling me?
Yes, it was. No. I absolutely, and that was one of the things. Particularly when it came to substitutions, I did look at it and I think, well, what are you doing? Just keep your shape, because even if you keep your shape, we should be good enough to deal with it. When you're taking off Werner and you're bringing on Skipp, you're basically saying we're not going to try and score anymore. You've got to break us down. And as we said, we knew that issues for us pieces, so obviously they came after us and they got their goal. But when you look at it, really, it should be a case of the bench needs to be better to suit what Ange wants to do. And I think Ange looks at our bench and I don't think he's happy with it. I think he ultimately thinks it's enough to get him through, because clearly, from our perspective, we're not only are we hoping to be in the top 5, but we're also hoping that our teams in Europe do well, because that's what will get us in the Champions League, because everything else was given up. The FA Cup, we didn't really show enough to want to stay in that. We didn't show enough to stay in the League Cup. So it realistically looks like it's top 5, because as we proved in this game, we certainly haven't got enough to beat the likes of Liverpool or Manchester City. What he is perhaps doing is looking at it and thinking, are some of these players good enough to see me through? And he's got his answer.
Harry, substitutions for you. Blaming or nothing good to do with it?
Well, let's be clear here. Bringing Brian Gill on in what is a physical game against a physical opponent is not something you'd expect to do of someone of Ange Postecoglou's caliber. So that took me by surprise. It didn't surprise me to see Oliver Skipp necessarily maybe get control of that midfield or maybe even a defensive option. But for me, it's who came off for Skipp, which lifted Everton's spirits, and you could feel it inside the stadium. As Justin says, with Werner coming off a Skipp, that's a defensive change, right? And that invites pressure. And Everton, just knew they had to get a few set pieces, and you cause a problem. Then we go to a back 5 later on. I mean, we want to see Dragusin. I don't know why you need a back five. Sorry, against Brentford, we just about got away with it. That was really touch and go. Baptiste keeps his shot under close control. That goes in for me. So it could have been a different story, or either side of the goalkeeper. About as well what Justin says with the bench at the moment, it's not strong compared to most teams in that top six, but the good thing is we've got Son and Basuma to come back. So I think eventually that bench will be stronger to get us through to the end of the season, hopefully even stronger in the summer. That's the aim. But yeah, he's responsible today for his change. Maddison I get coming off. Obviously, he's come back from injury fairly relatively. But again, you need to replace him with a creative player. For me, we just invited that pressure. But at the same time, someone like me is saying we need to learn to see out a game. But if you're going to do it, you need to do it properly. And with Kulusevski's point of view, losing the ball, giving away a free kick outside your own box in stoppage time is not what I call seeing out a game. I look at your situation. You whack it forward. We had the numbers forward as well. We just need to learn what I call the nasty side of the game, and this is where your Mourinho's and Conte's actually are right in terms of you have to be evil sometimes to win football matches. You have to waste time, take it to the corner flag, get stuck in. Do the clever stuff to see you through the game, and we don't do that. It's all good having a back five, but if none of them are willing to smash the ball 40, 50 yards up the pitch or put a tackle in, then it's not going to be any good. So, yeah, he's at fault today. But again, the players on the pitch, we should be beating Everton.
So, I'm going to ask you two quick questions. I'm going to ask them separately because I know I ain't got you for too long. All right. And there's one more question I just want to get through at the end. Harry, you mentioned it, right? Kulu.
Oh, here we go.
Are we getting into a stage now where, because the last few games, and this is becoming a bit of a thing. People are starting to ask questions about Kulu. I'm not sure how I feel about it. So that's why I'm kind of asking you, right? Even I don't have an opinion on it. But is Kulu starting to show form as he did? Was it the parts of last year where he's not, he's giving away silly free kicks. He's not really on the ball as much. He's kind of just drifting in. He's not even in the game, right? And today he's come on and it's kind of meh. And there's been parts of him this season that's been great, but then at the beginning of the season, a lot of people wanted him dropped. Then he's come back, went into centre, done well, and then he's gone back into his shell a little bit. And that free kick he gives away in a needless position today.
Yeah.
Is it time to start asking questions about Kulu? Because Ange has stuck with him all season.
I want to be very, very clear. Fans are way too quick to ask questions. We've gone from Kulusevski being involved in the best front three in Europe, and we've gone, Spurs fans, generational talent, bargain of a deal to he's not good enough to be in the starting 11, drop him, bench him. He's not good enough, number 10. He's not good enough on the right. So some of the outrageous things I hear, at the end of the day, it's down to Ange to choose the starting 11. Again, Brentford.
That's why he was dropped today. No, that's a question. Do you think that's why he was dropped?
He was dropped because Johnson came in and done a good job in the second half. It's absolutely nothing to do with Kulusevski because you base that off the second half and Kulusevski dictated play with Maddison, which actually won us the game. I think Johnson was on the receiving end of it. So it was a tough choice. And the game maybe suited Johnson a bit more, hugging the touchline along with Timo Werner and at times looked dangerous. So I think we still think it was the right team selection, but the questions aren't fair. They're not fair. I see questions on Werner after 3 games and he's got 2 assists in that. I don't get it either. I think fans have to be onto something.
Do you know what? With Werner, right, and I'll openly admit, right, today he's okay. At the end, if after these 6 months, would I want him to sign for Spurs? I'll be openly and honest, right, and I've been through this, right, he would have to go and score at least 6 or 7 and have about 10 assists with that.
See, Marlon, you're already being closed-minded. You need to give him a chance. Just come here. You're already saying it's not because I don't want him. Let him show. Like Richarlison, let him produce. Let him do the talking on the pitch and come back.
Okay. Let me ask you this question then: if you does Richarlison, get into any club in the top 6? Honestly, just be honest.
Right now, for me, he gets into Arsenal team over Jesus. I'm going to put that straight out there. I think he gets in Arsenal's team.
Okay.
I seriously, I think he gets in Chelsea's team. Absolutely, for me, I think they're lacking as a striker.
Yeah. You'll probably get into Chelsea's, but
and I think
is he what Chelsea need?
Huh?
The next question, he would get into Chelsea, but is he what Chelsea need? No. because they need a goal scorer. You can blatantly see, and
they're 10th. They're not really in this equation.
Okay, let's take the current top 6, right? The teams currently in the top 6 right now in the Premier League, right? So he's not going to get into Manchester City. He's not going to get into Liverpool, Arsenal, right? And Arsenal, is he going to get ahead of Martinelli? Because you can't use Jesus, because Jesus is playing centre. He's not going to play central.
No, Richarlison will play down the middle, and Jesus will be benched.
What? Who play in the middle?
I thought you meant Richarlison. You're talking about Werner.
No, Werner. Yes.
Oh, right. Okay. Werner.
I'll be honest. I thought you were talking about Richarlison as well.
No, Richarlison. No,
right.
Richarlison we're talking about Werner because Werner for me is somebody, right? I feel like is not. Look, when he went clean through 1-on-1 today, right? I know he was offside in the end, but this is like stuff like that. He can't be missing chances. He can't. We can't allow him to miss chances at the moment, right? And that's why Johnson is getting a lot of stick as well.
Can't miss chances anymore.
No, because the front three need to click. They're right. Richarlison. Let's be honest.
How long have you been saying that, though?
Yeah,
You've been saying that under Conte and Mourinho. The front three need to click. The front three need to click, and they haven't. That's the problem that we've had.
Exactly. And Harry, that's exactly the point that I'm making here, right? Is that in the summer, right? Depending on how Richarlison finishes the end of the season, that front three is the next piece to the jigsaw. Because you're right, it's been a problem, right? Because Harry Kane was literally carrying them for the last how many years, right? And then Son had that good season under Conte as well, right? But Son's now, look, Son for me is still a great player, right? Don't get into it. Like, I'm not going to think that. Richarlison is showing, okay, he might be able to, but I'm looking at it long term. That front three is probably our biggest issue right now, if we're all being honest.
No, I get what you mean, but when they're all fully fit, we've got versatile options and depth. Like you said,
but they have focus on the left at the beginning of the season.
I tell you what, let's compare Marlon to the top 6, our left winger, who would be Son, right? And we've got Werner as backup. That is very strong. Closest to me gets to that is Manchester City.
It's not, Harry.
Backup as Grealish in terms of depth.
Werner is
so we can have this conversation, but we've
Werner
got the depth.
Is not that player. Harry,
Johnson and Kulusevski on the right. We've got Richarlison.
If you think Werner's that player, right, you then can't ask Spurs to push forward because Werner is not that player. He is for now.
He suits the system. He's bought in while Son's not here. He'll be used as an impact player when Son's back. It's clever business. It's risk-free with potential high reward. I don't think you can even argue this time.
It's not risk-free.
More for opinions, but I don't think you can really argue against Werner.
So if we end up, it's not risk-free because the last couple of games...
It's risk-free. Absolutely risk-free. He doesn't need to play. It's absolutely risk-free.
It's not risk-free.
It doesn't work. He goes back in the summer.
There's still an impact on him coming in. There's still an impact on the team. Him coming in.
He'd be on bench then.
Huh? But yes,
Marlon, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So, based on what you've said, okay, because I'm kind of more with Harry than I am yourself, but I will ask you one question that will be interesting here. You're talking about, obviously we need to be more sort of, dynamic in terms of that front three. So, you taking the situation, who do you see Tottenham, being honest, realistically, that they will go and get to be able to fit into that situation? So that's going to be the key part, because when you look at the money. Hang one sec. So because obviously we got to look at, there's a certain areas you've got to be factoring in with this. When you listen to what Tottenham have already said they're going to do, they're going to go and focus on they want another defender. Okay, so they've got 4 to help cover the extra games.
Yeah.
They want another central midfielder. They want another attacking midfielder, and they want another versatile winger. So you got to look at that. That's quite a lot of players that Tottenham will be looking at in terms of budget-wise. Yes, they will probably get the likes of Roden out, Højbjerg out, and people like that to bring money in. But in terms of that, who do you think is a realistic option that is going to come in and be that star? Because that's what you're talking about, that star player to come in and dominate there.
So now this is how I'm looking at it, right? Because and this is why I will go back to Celtic, because I did watch Celtic under Ange, right? I did. I literally, Celtic are my Scottish team, so I know I used to watch Celtic quite a lot, right? And people might want to believe that or not. Now, the very key to the Ange system are his wingers, right? Always has been, right? The problem that we've had all season, right? And we were all saying at the beginning, when we were going on that 10-game unbeaten run, every single one of us was saying oh my God, this front three, so if it wasn't for Son, it wouldn't be working, right? We was all saying that front three was, Cooley was there, Richarlison was on the left, Solomon was there and everything like that, right?
Yeah.
And we're still asking the same questions now. Now, the question that you've asked me, who do we go get in? I personally, right, at this present moment, wouldn't be able to tell you because I'm not the one.
So why are you arguing? Why are you arguing with
Because I know, because I know Werner's not the one I want. Werner is definitely not the one I want.
Okay, but that
Why?
okay. So hang on, Harry, hang on a second. So Werner is not who you want. So the question is, forgetting about that.
But you're sitting there saying that there's not other wingers out there that can't do the exact, can't come in and play the system. At the end of the day, everyone has said Spurs are doing this whole new system of scouting and everything like that, right? Now, apart from like the metrics that you're going to have to hit, right? Because at the end of the day, there are players out in Europe. There's players probably in the UK. There's players out there, right? But you've got to ask. Werner's good at assists, but he's not good at scoring, right? Again, we weren't struggling to score goals. We've been scoring 2 a game, and it hasn't changed, right? So there's your issue.
Yeah, and I get what you're saying with it, but I think what we've got to be realistic here, because I understand, and I've seen in the comments, and I totally agree with the options that people have talked about, but Tottenham are not, no matter how much they love the idea of the likes of, Elise, Eze, and people like that.
Yeah. We're not going to
sign them. And what you've then got to be looking at is, well, okay, if you're not going to sign them, then where further down do we go? Now, to me, if I was looking at realistically, if you said to me I could go and get somebody, I would go and get, is it Nico Williams from Bilbao?
Yes.
Free signing. That to me seems an absolute no-brainer from there. But the one thing I do disagree with you on is that is the important signing. I don't feel it is. To me, I feel that the more important signing is a secondary playmaker. That to me is where the biggest key lies, because unless Alfie Devine comes straight in and he becomes that, I think we need to be looking at somebody who can come in there that, bearing in mind the games we're going to have and all the competitions that potentially we're going to want to go.
Does that mean you don't think Cooley can do it in that position?
What, as a playmaker? No.
Okay.
I think he's okay. Don't get me wrong. I think he's had some good games. But as you've said, and we've talked about, there is question marks over Kulu. Now, I think, to be fair, he's not a bad player. I think, obviously, what we've seemed to find is that he will turn around and he'll have some good games, and other games he'll go missing. That is just seems to be the nature, But I don't feel that a number 10 role, bearing in mind for the talent and the key part is where Tottenham want to be. We can't keep signing players for where Tottenham are now. We need to sign. There's no point going to bring in another winger if he's very much the same level as
what we've got now.
Yeah. And that is where I'm kind of between both of you on that. If it was me, and if Tottenham are going to turn around and they're going to look at it and they're going to go, right, okay, we're not going to focus too much on the wingers because we want to go big in different areas, then I do think Tottenham will go and get Werner because of the fact of the price of it. 15 million in comparison to where they can go and spend big at. Because let's say this, right? Let me ask you this, Marlon. If you could go and get either Elise or Eze, either one of those, but it meant you had signed Timo Werner, would you do it?
So say that again. Sorry,
for me, it's yes.
Because you mentioned Eze, right? And I'm just like, he's just a dream signing, but I know we're not going to make it.
But that is the difference. That is ultimately the difference. So with Eze, if you could go and get Eze, you would then take the hit on Werner, and that is where Tottenham are. You could go and get that star player.
No. To be honest, with Werner, I wouldn't take the hit on. Look, I wouldn't take the hit on Werner. Where I'd say is, even if we didn't get Eze or Elise, right? Look, Ash has gone and done again. We do shows on a Tuesday, and Ash has gone and shown other wingers that we can get, right? So I'm not going to sit there and go, at this present moment, I know enough of Werner to know that, as you said, he's not going to take us forward, right?
No.
Do I think this 6-month loan is worth it? I'll see after it. I'm not. Look, I want him to come in and do well, right? But I know he can't score goals for anything, so I don't want to bring in a player like that, right? I know Ange's system relies on wingers scoring goals, right? Like the Sun of 2 years ago under Conte, right? And even against Newcastle scoring goals, right? At the present moment, that's where we're falling down. We just don't seem to have wingers scoring goals, and that's why it's been such a struggle. That's why Richarlison, right? He's the only one scoring right now.
Hang on. What do you mean by we haven't had wingers scoring goals?
This season.
To be fair, if you do look at it, if you look at the numbers for Kulusevski and Johnson and Solomon and those sort of players, they have been lower. Yes, okay, but I think
most of Son's goals came from him playing on top.
One thing I would say, because you know, in terms of what you said there, I think I can understand what you're saying, but I think it's going to be interesting because when Son comes back, we're not good. He's just going to go straight back into that team. It's as simple as that, and it will be Richarlison up top, Son on the left, and either Kulusevski, Johnson, Werner, one of the three will then be on that side, and then they'll sort of there. But I think what we have to sort of take into account here is that we're going to have to see where this goes, where the next 6 months. Because I think ultimately, one thing I do think we can all agree on here is that probably bar Johnson, because of the amount of money and I think the time with it and things like that, I think a lot of them are potentially playing for their future. Because if he turns round and he looks at it, not so much Son, I think I'm taking him out of the equation. But you look at Solomon, hasn't hit the ground running and has been injured for a lot.
To be fair, he's been injured.
Kulusevski hasn't been to the levels as he has, you know. And obviously, as you say, Werner, that is a try before we buy. So I think those ones in particular, they're going to look at and go, well, okay, you need to be able to prove that you can take Tottenham to that next level. Because if you can, then fine, you stay. But if not, then that becomes the more important area for us, and we then address that.
Okay, because I've only got you lot for 5 minutes, right?
Sorry.
we've been arguing for the last 10, right?
That's what we normally do, isn't it?
Right.
That's what we want to
do. Right. So I quickly wanted to ask you both a question, right? Now, when we were going on those 10 games that 10-game unbeaten run, you had a lot of Spurs fans going, Conte was wrong. Conte was this. That speech was terribly wrong. One thing he said is that it doesn't matter which manager you have, things don't change, right? And the one thing that we saw as a statistic today is we have conceded the most amount of goals in the last, the 90th minute?
Yep. 8.
Yeah. Why is it, no matter who we have as manager, we still have the same, like Harry, you actually pinpointed it earlier, and I'm going to thingy, we still have the same problems. Why is it? Harry, I'm going for you first. Why is it we still have these problems? Is it just the DNA of this club? Because we have a manager right now that's literally tried to change everything, and yet we still have the same stupid.
Well, firstly, I want to remove it.
Can't see games out.
Yeah, I want to put it very
simply. Last year. Go on.
Yeah. Okay, firstly, focusing with Ange before we get onto the pass, right? We play a style of football where we put ourselves at risk. Like against Wolves, that's a case of us not knowing when to pull the plug, in my opinion, when to sit on a 1-0 lead. We proved the 89 minutes after the goal that we couldn't score a second goal, and we don't sit on it. You have people like Dyer, you put the ball out of play, nobody really knows what to do. Bentancur and that, they look at each other and they go, am I putting the ball out? Am I keeping? Yeah, they just don't know. And there's no clear communication, it seems. So for me, it's just put it out there. It's not on the owners or Daniel Levy, because these are different players it's happening with. So in terms of what, like now,
so basically, I think, Harry, it's more, is it, so on this, I know what you're saying, but is it just a mentality at the club that seems to seep through no matter which, either whether it's Poch, whether it's Mourinho? Like, I know Ange has only been here for a short amount of time, so he's got, he's not going to change it overnight, right? And I think
it's just something that we've been unlucky with. I think a lot of teams have looked at us, even under Mourinho and Conte, and gone, perhaps we don't have the players to suit them, because they both know, they both want a lot of money to spend. For example, I don't know, Mourinho wanted Skriniar and got Joe Rodon is a prime example that people often use. So perhaps we didn't have the players then. I'd certainly think we've got the players now. When fully fit, I personally think we have the best back four and the best midfield in the league. So I think the players, the caliber of players are there to be able to see out games. But I can't really answer your question, because it's not down. I don't put it down to anyone. Really. It's just
really
something I think we've done.
Yeah, but you said the.
Look at it.
it's just the way. No, this is what it is. Justin, I'll go with you.
Okay, there's certain things that Harry said that I don't.
I know you're going to agree with the bit.
Yeah, I don't agree with him either. But that's Harry,
I mean, saying that we've got the best back four in the Premier League.
Harry, can I ask a question? Because I know your age, right? And I was just trying to work this out the other day.
Oh,
you haven't seen Spurs win a trophy yet, have you?
No.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. No. Because I felt sorry for you a little bit. That's why.
Yeah,
I don't need empathy.
We remember seeing Jonathan Woodgate.
But I can see some of what you're saying. I can see certain things behind it to way Tottenham's been run for the last time. Justin's
Marlon, can I be very clear how? Because Justin mentioned earlier, I actually forgot to bring it up. The club aren't only just thinking about now, they think about the long term. We've got, for me, future really star players that really performed in Sarr and Udogie. Two bright players that have committed their future to 2030. We saw Lucas Bergvall, 18 years old, already made his Sweden debut. We've got Jogsy. We've got a really young team, and the future is bright. We've played it right with FFP, with the new stadium. So for me, the future is bright.
Harry, you know why I love you?
Challenge that.
Harry, you know why I love you? Because I can see, right, in your eyes, right, you've got this thing, and you're still quite young, all right? And I'm going to say this, and I mean this in the nice possible way. You can tell that you still see the bright lights of Spurs and thinking, okay, the future's bright, the future's orange. Justin's probably going to counteract that. And everything he doesn't agree with is because we've been through this before. We've seen it. We just know exactly the way it's going to end. And Harry, I'll be totally honest. Justin, 1 second. Harry, I'll be totally honest. Please stay that way. Please stay that way.
Absolutely.
Do not change for us.
You've never seen the lights
like the rest of us.
You've never seen the likes of Stuart Nethercott and Andy Booth and Gregor Raziak. When you've had days like that, then you can come and talk to us. Trust me, we've seen that.
But even under Levy, right? There's been times where it's looked bright and something.
I don't think it's bright as this though. If I'm being honest with you,
it has.
Okay.
And when we finished second, it was bright. It was bright.
Let's take it like this in terms
because I ain't got you too long.
That's fine. But where you're saying about where we've not been able to keep it and and sort of build on things, and I think that the key part for me here, and this is something we've had. We had it under Conte, we had it under Mourinho, we had it under Pochettino, we had it under Redknapp, we've got it probably under Ange, and that is a starting 11. That from 1st to 11, yeah, that's true. From 1st to 11, we would sit there and go, do you know what? That's pretty good. That will give any team a run for its money, right? That is what we've had, right? If you look back to when Pochettino was in charge and we had Dele Alli, Ericsson, and all of that lot, okay? And then obviously you go back to Harry Redknapp and you look at the players that he had there, right? Where we have always fallen down is what's in the subs bench. What's the backup?
Yeah.
Because that has always been the problem. And I personally think when I looked at the game and I looked at the subs bench and I looked at who he brought on, I looked at it and in my mind I kept thinking, this is where Ange now needs to take the next step. He now needs to be able to say to the club, look, if you want to take that step and not just be going for top four. Yeah, that is true. Sorry, mate. And also, you'll have a bigger gut as well, I'm afraid, because you'll be, too busy eating ice cream and crying too much, or drinking too much. But you've got a while to go for that. So we'll just go with ice cream.
Yeah, we have.
Finish up, because
the thing is, as I said, if you look at the subs that were made, Brian Hill, Oliver Skip, those two are not getting in Man City's team. Those two are not getting in Liverpool's team. There is where the big difference lies. Is that for starting 11, we're one of the most competitive teams in the league.
Yes.
When you start going to 12, 13, 14, 15, as we all said, I know that I think me and Marlon agreed on this, which we don't agree on with much, but to be fair, but we all said during that 10-game run where we were doing really, really well, we all thought as soon as we get an injury, we're screwed.
Yeah. Justin, can I counteract that?
Yeah,
I want to counteract that because in 2 windows, right? Do you think it's not realistic to kind of sit here and go we should have a stronger subs bench? Because you look at this team right now, a lot of it is is made under Postecoglou. A lot of new recruitment. Your Vicarios, your Van der Vens, the prime example. Addison's.
I agree with you.
Yeah,
I agree with you. I'm not expecting to have. I completely agree with you. We're not expecting to have a stronger sub bench, but in
the summer, yes. But for me, we worked the last 2 windows on improved. Well, first window really improving the starting 11. This window was about supplying options when our best players were missing from someone like Athcon. I think Werner came in for Son to do that. Sitting here right now, being honest, as someone who's defended Daniel Levy, I'm not going to lie, defended the window and defended the signing of Werner, it's not a long-term option. It's a short fix, and there's a buy option in case the club are proved wrong. It makes sense. It's not the long-term. But then some has to think about long-term. I think long-term, we've got a great
the
team.
other thing that finally could come, and this is where I think you're pretty much on the nose with, it's almost like the evil dictator has finally come to take his throne, because if you think about financial fair play and you look at the fact
you played it right,
I was watching TalkSport and they had a business analyst on it, and he basically said Chelsea will need to sell a bucket load of players, homegrown ones, like Conor Gallagher. I just love saying that, and players like that, because they need to get them off the books. Daniel Levy will walk in there like the snivelling little weasel that he is and go, I'm sorry, I will offer you this much, as has been proven with Everton bitching that we didn't pay enough for Richarlison.
All I'm gonna say to that is FFP is going to work in our favour, but our problem's not really been about spending money, because I've always said
it's been about spending money wisely, which I think we've done in the last 2 windows. Absolutely,
on your point,
only the last 2, correct.
On your point, what was I going to say on your point, Harry? Because you were talking about the bench, weren't you? Right? Yeah. So my thing was, right, the problem with the bench right now and everything that's going on is that the mistakes the club have made over the last 5 years is the reason why we're in the crap where we are in now. And that's why I completely agree with you. You can't expect, because all the mistakes they've made, right, and even then, they're trying to get them out of the way now and get most of them off the books.
Which we've done successfully this window and rather quickly.
But you still got Ndombele, and to be honest, I'm going to throw this man into it. You've still got Lo Celso, right? Because he's injury prone. Like, he doesn't barely play. Every time he's made a glass, right? Sessegnon's still here. Yeah, these are mistakes that they've made over the last 5 years, and
I agree.
I think what we're seeing, though, and this is the key part. We're now back to where we were before, when, if you remember, when it was Paul Mitchell and Pochettino working together to bring in the signings.
Yeah. But Paratici seems to be the man at the moment.
But what we're seeing more now is a joined up thinking with these signings. So I think
you can see that.
The key part, regardless of what happens the rest of this year, okay, if we finish top 5, top 6, top 7, that doesn't matter. The key part will define where Tottenham are under Ange will be the summer. If Tottenham go out and get the players that Ange wants, that can take us forward and do it in the way that meets with FFP, which, to be honest, being the 8th richest club in the world, we shouldn't have a problem with, that will define whether Levy has got it right or whether we need to really reassess that.
I agree. I think he's got it right now, but I agree the summer's the big window, right? January, I think people underestimate how big it is because it's a chance to improve the season. If we hadn't brought in the players and shifted the players in January, I think it would have made us a lot. I think we were in a better position now to get top 4 because of that. But the summer is absolutely massive. There's going into the new season. So the summer is a big, of course, it's a big thing. And if we can have the same or similar window as we did previous summer, then I think that I'll be very, very happy with that.
Absolutely.
It's not just the money spent, it's the recruitment. Like, I wanted David Raya, right? But we've gone and get Vicario for a lot cheaper, who ultimately suits the system a lot better. Or Van der Ven. Never had a Van der Ven before. I mean, and all I knew was that he was, I knew he played for Wolfsburg, but I hadn't watched him or anything. So it's just unheard of. Come and produce.
But this answers. Remember you said to me earlier about the question about who want to get in the wing. Right, but this answers my question.
You couldn't name me one player on the spot, Marlon. I didn't want to see my Werner, but I can't name you one option, right? Okay, and you'd be moaning if we didn't bring anyone else in.
Okay,
you can't sit here and go, well, it's another 1 out of 10 window because you didn't bring in anyone, but I couldn't name you one player I wanted.
But didn't you just say you didn't know who Vicario was and you didn't know who Van der Ven was?
Correct.
There you go.
No, but I can name you players that I want.
No.
I can sit here and give you names.
There you go.
If you're going to criticise, you have to back it up. Right, Daniel, you shouldn't have bought Werner, but you should have bought no one. You need to back it up.
Mate, for the way look for what Werner is, I'd rather he did by now. Dragushin.
You rather by no one. But you wouldn't have moaning, Marlon, when we bought in no winger. You were in the first one to tweet.
No.
1st of February, unbelievable Spurs haven't bought a winger in.
Because if you saw what I was doing just before thing, the only player I wanted was a defender. Once they got
I was actually with you on that. But you wouldn't moaning, the lack of depth, why Son's not here.
No.
Opportunity to assist the system.
No,
to assist. We got
to see us through, we did need Werner. That's the one thing I will say. We did need Werner. Just at least Asia Cup out of the way.
Marlon, you said we don't have enough depth. You're saying no to a player who's come in that offers depth, offers versatility, can play in all three of those positions, suits the system, has the pace, provides assists, and ultimately is going to get us points. I don't get it.
We'll see, because he's only done it against Brentford. He didn't didn't get us points today. So
Man United got the fist.
I think you two, because I'm not here next week, but can't wait to watch back you two on round 2 next Saturday. There's got to be it after the Brighton game.
Marlon's really apologised about the Richarlison thing. Hopefully he'll be apologising about Werner come the end of the season, but I don't think we signed it.
No, I won't, because the other stuff, the other stuff, I apologise for. But Richarlison's the first one I've had to apologise for all season.
Yeah, I know, and to be honest, it's a good job I'm sitting down when you did. If you apologise for further, I'm gonna have to throw up, because that is. I'm worried. I will call you an ambulance at that point if you apologise for Werner. There is something fundamentally wrong, Marlon. It's as simple as that.
No, look, I know fully well I won't be apologising for Werner.
you
say him, Marlon, and said on the show, I'm right about Richarlison. He's going to be sold in January.
You don't need to say anymore. We will bookmark this.
Yeah.
If Werner starts
3rd of February,
tears it up, we're just going to spend an hour just literally
Do you know what?
Nothing else.
If that happens,
we're taking over the show.
Yeah, if that happens, I'll be more willing. But I know it ain't going to happen.
We come back to this. I've just jotted the date down.
Yeah, there you go.
Boys, it's been a pleasure. Hopefully we've answered all. The only question that we didn't answer, which was Stay Humble's question, no, simply Ace's question, and basically said, where's it gone? I bookmarked it as well. Something about is the defending down to the way we play, or is it because of the we just can't? I can't even remember what he said.
It's down to the way we play, and we need to.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, absolutely. That's like saying,
but you can't. No, Harry, don't worry about it, because you can't. If they can't do it, you can't train them to do it. So that's all. We know that.
Oh, of course, yeah. I can't open the door, but I'm never going to be able to learn how to open the door. I didn't get to it at school. I didn't get to it at school, Justin. So I don't know how to open the door. I don't know how to spend money. I didn't get to it.
But you're talking. Do you know what? You're using it in very simplistic things. But you're talking about elite.
It implies Vicario can't catch. Improve it. You said it wasn't a problem in the first half of the season, but maybe that's because it was worked on.
Okay, Eric Dyer could never follow a man, right? So why don't you just coach him to be able to do that? Why is it he can't do it?
Well, certain players can't.
Because we didn't have a manager that did long enough.
No.
Teach Hoiberg how to play in this system.
We're not talking about Eric Dyer. The useless man is gone. He's gone somewhere else. Let's just leave it at that. We're not getting back to Eric Dyer. We'll be here all night if we're going down that route.
Anyway. As always, anyone who's been watching on Scarfey Talks. See, look, you've even got Scarfey Spurs Talk.
Disrespect.
It's all right, Harry. You can't train that. You can't.
Scarfey Spurs Talk.
No, he never learns. To be fair.
Scarfey Spurs Talk. Hold on, I'm trying to get people to subscribe to your channel here. Shut up.
Oh, they go. You can't get the name right now. Otherwise, people are going to search it up on YouTube and nothing's going to come up.
Look, you're going to be in Tesco tomorrow at some point, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll be in there. Yeah, I need to be careful.
Come in there and find you tomorrow, right?
Absolutely will be.
Right? Anyway, anyone who's watching this, please go over to Scarfey Spurs Talk. We're on the dual stream at the moment. Please go over there and subscribe to Scarfey, right? Even if he does chat rubbish sometimes, please go over there, right? His guests are better. The guests are better than the host, right? No, but on a serious note, please go over there and subscribe to Harry. Great guy. That's why he's always on here. Me and him will argue all the time, but me and him are always showing each other love afterwards. Justin as well. He's always on here. He hasn't been on here for a few weeks. I felt like
I know, and I think there's a reason for that. Right?
You've had fun. Leave it alone. You lot always come back for me anyway. That's why you lot come back, because I wind you up. We've got Ashmatic show on Tuesday this week. So anyone we are now Spurs Kings TV. It's in homage to Ledley King, and because he was our captain for so many years for me, Haz, and Ashmac while we were growing up. It's also because we've had a Prince, as in Kevin Prince and Royale. So you lot are now part of the royal family, as we say, right?
Is this permanent, or are you going to change it in a month's time again?
No, Spurs Kings TV is not now what it is. Yep. We're simply staying at Spurs Kings TV. Ashmatic is back on Tuesday with his news and views, right, which I'll be hosting. And then
I love his insightful knowledge. I love the passion. He's great to watch.
Everyone loves Ash. And then Haz and Ash should be back Wednesday with the rival show, which will be interesting because Liverpool and Arsenal tomorrow. So it's going to be really interesting, that one. That one, you think we argue, that one's brilliant. Right? And then on... how are you doing the preview show next week, or are you going to flake on us?
Depends what day it is. How dare you? Depends what day it is. It's Friday night, then I'm on it. If it's a Thursday night, then no.
So has Harry and TJ will hopefully be back next Friday. And again, we'll do a dual stream on it if you're on it. So it'll be on both channels. And obviously, Haz will be back here next Saturday with the Brighton review. Brighton instant match reaction.
Just getting to your head now, isn't it? Yeah. We've routed you.
Let me get through it. Anyway, if anyone's watching on their TV, or if anyone's thinking, please make sure you go and subscribe to Harry and on me as well. Please make sure you like and subscribe to this channel. We'll always try.
Not to you. Just to me and Justin.
Apparently, apparently, didn't even say me. That's a bit harsh.
But as always, love to both my guests. Right, I'm never bringing them back together because they always gang up on me one by one. Anyway, it's all been good. It's all been great. Thanks to everyone in the chat. You guys have actually made it worthwhile as well. Some of you agreeing with me, some of you agreeing with these two bozos. But no, as always, they're probably right. I'm wrong, as always. Come on,
that's the way.